Mr. Khushroo Pastakia, who is the CEO and Managing Director of Voxtur Bio Limited. He would be speaking on building immunity will be the new mantra in the fight against COVID and other diseases in the future. The Ayurveda and the magical homemade formula. I'd just like to introduce Mr. Pastakia to all of you. Mr. Pastakia is MCOM, MBA, gold medalist, FCA, MIS in Finance and Business Administration from South Gujarat University. A competent and versatile professional with more than 20 years of commendable experience and exposure in the entire spectrum of corporate business management and operating practices at the domestic and global fronts. Widely traveled in more than 90 countries throughout all the continents, culturally aware and internationally recognized, with fluency to communicate, read and write in English, with a flair for Excel, Word, Outlook, PowerPoint, SAP, CorelDRAW, and internet savvy. Previously associated with a listed public limited company manufacturing laboratory products with branch offices across India and couple of joint ventures and subsidiaries abroad, headed the entire gamut of international operations and appointed as a director in all the international subsidiaries, looking after entire spectrum of overseas business arena, including international marketing and business development, formation of overseas companies, joint ventures, management of companies in France, South Africa, Uganda, Kenya, America, Brazil, and UAE. He is currently working as a CEO and Managing Director for two corporate bodies, one focused on the manufacturing of IVD test kits and other focused on the manufacturing of precision plastic medical consumables. Profile covers the entire gamut of corporate operations at domestic and international fronts. So with this, over to you, sir, for Ayurveda.
Thanks a lot, Mr. I appreciate your kind gesture of introducing me. So let's begin on Ayurveda. Let's proceed step by step. Ayurveda, the word itself is composed of two words. One is Ayur, means life. जैसे हिंदी में बोलते हैं ना कि आपकी आयु लंबी होगी, आप लंबा जिएंगे, आपकी आयु लंबी हो. So आयु means life. How much long do you live? And Veda is our religious text, which is completely based on the scientific principles. So Ayur and Veda means living science of a life. So it's a science of life completely based on balanced way of living with regular dincharya and rutucharya protocols. Now, as I said, science has been a reinvention of already invented, because science and religion always go in parallel. And from one yug to another yug, starting from the Satyug to the Dwapar Yug to the Treta Yug, the cycle just keeps on rotating round and round, and again we are back to scratch from the initial levels. So if we are talking of, or if we are believing in Ramayana, if we are believing in Lord Rama, that episode is of Treta Yuga, that is 2 millennia old. Then Ayurveda is even older than that, because Ayurveda was practiced during that yuga. So it was in that advanced level of science where the subconscious Lord Rama had been revived using that Sanjeevani booty. So that is the in-depthness, that is the level of science, medical science, which Veda has been catering since thousands and thousands of years. Otherwise, all the medical science what we are talking of is hardly a couple of centuries old, hardly 300, 400 years old. But as we say, Gar ki murgi is like dal barabar. So definitely domestic science has not been that right importance as required. And that's the reason it's always been challenged. And also not that much of focus has been given on Ayurveda to improvise, to get it more developed, to get it more enhanced. So more research and development is required, more regulatory approach is required, more professional approach is required in developing the science. Say for example, if a multinational giant, say Abbott launches a COVID booster medicine in India, it will be readily accepted without any question mark. Because we have that fixed frame, mindset frame, that it has to be a good product coming from Abbott, US. If the same product is launched by any big brand of Ayurveda in India, say Himalaya, There will be an acceptance, but not that up till that level, because it's coming from an Ayurvedic platform, not from a medical science platform. And if that same product is coming from Baba Ramdev, Patanjali, then it will have thousands and thousands of question marks, which is really just a state of mind which we encounter. If Amitabh Bachchan can promote himself as a brand ambassador for his own invested companies, then what's wrong if Baba Ramdev is doing the same? It's nothing wrong in it, but we just can't accept that. How can a sannyasi become a businessman and doing such a good business? But it is a fact. They have been doing good research and development activities, and they have come out with good products. But of course, one can easily target through social media with some wrong comments, wrong floating of messages, and that it goes on and on and on and on without even validating the same. Anyway, so why Ayurveda is so important? If we visit any of the Oriental nations, say for example, if we visit China, then they have their own consumption of their own Chinese medicine, own Oriental traditional medicines of Chinese medicine. And lots of shops are there catering to those products. And those are effective also. And the same lines, why can't an Indian or a Bharatiya product, Ayurveda product, can thrive in our own home platform? That is a big question mark. Even a German originated homeopathy, it's got better acceptance in India rather than its Ayurvedic counterpart. So it's only the question of opening up of our minds, opening up our mindset to welcome the Ayurvedic approach, to provide more and more moral boost to the Ayush ministry, so that they can come up with more and more better research products, more better validated products into the market. Now, as we know, viral infections don't have any cure. So that is very sure that the only way out is through immune boosters. And when we are expecting a vaccine to come up, what is a vaccine? Vaccine is just a treated virus. You are injecting a treated virus into one's own body to create that immune response through antibodies against it. So if we are ready to take that much of risk in injecting a virus, treated virus, for creating an antibody or to create an immune response, why can't Ayurvedic immune response and Ayurvedic immune boosters can be used? That's a big question mark. Anyway, so there are lots and lots of pros and cons, which is where we need to look upon while we expect the vaccines to be coming up, developed in such a short time. Because even if a vaccine comes up, we very well know that development of a vaccine in a pharma environment, it takes several years, maybe 5 years, 7 years to come up with a vaccine duly validated into market and tested, toxicologically proven, and then the launch is there. Whereas in this case, it's hardly a couple of months where all the companies around the world have initiated this process, and the rush approach will not solve the purpose. But that's all on our wish. How do we really want to encounter the viral infection? Also, we should understand that the blood genotype, human blood genotype, is different from one population to another population. So say, for example, a Brazilian or a Latin American will have a different immune response as compared to an Asian counterpart or even an Oriental counterpart. So how effective that vaccine will be, that's again is a big question mark. So that the only option remains is to boost your immunity through a good healthy diet, a good workout, and of course, if we are missing something, then of course there are Ayurvedic complementary immune boosters which can definitely improve upon your immunity. Now, even if the immunity, even if you take the vaccines, if the vaccine comes and even if you take the vaccines, but if the body is not healthy, if your immunity levels are not that high, definitely the immune response for those vaccinated persons will also be not that good. So immunity buildup is the core important requirement at this juncture. Even the last week reports from the King's College in London, we have seen that there is a steep drop down in the COVID antibody production, drastically 23-fold in a couple of months down the line. So even if the vaccine comes up, the durability of the vaccine protection will be a big question mark, because there will not be enough antibodies produced because of that. Anyway, now let's come to the classical Ayurveda. It's like it has passed from gods to the sages to the physicians. And since childhood, we have been observing, at least in my generation, I have been seeing in my house, all the Ayurvedic practices going on. And though the tradition of passing on those information couldn't be very well successful due to ongoing globalization and its impact from the Western world. But we have been seeing that like Haldi Chandan bath was there when for the glowing skin, even during, but that has now been restricted only to the marriages. Then if we have an injury, then neem ka lep, that was one of the solutions was prevailing there. And of course that golden milk, haldi ka doodh, for any body ache or any problem in the body, that turmeric milk was always used. And then that's Kali Mirch and Tulsi Kada. That was always in the portfolio anytime. But the gradual pass on of those informations, those customs, those practices from one generation to another generation has been seriously affected just because of the globalization and just about because of the Western impact on our Indian culture. No doubt, we need to undertake Ayurveda in a more detailed way. We need to have a good regulated body. We need to just like exactly an FDA for at the pharma front and taking care of all the aspects for any pharma product to come out in the market. We need to have similar such very tight and stringent protocols for the Ayurvedic too. Otherwise, then it will be restricted only to Ayurvedic milkshakes and ice creams, which have been coming up in the media nowadays. Anyway. One of the research reports from US suggest a very good impact of ultraviolet light on the COVID-19 infections. And well, we have been practicing this UV rays since generations, since centuries. Every day morning we offer Arghya ceremony to the sun, the Surya Dev. What is that? Actually, we are offering water to the holy basil, that is a tulsi plant, and we offer prayers to the sun. We stand there for say 5-10 minutes and we are taking that UV light every day into our body. The same thing is promoted by US with a UV light impact study. The same thing, but in a different, it's like a old wine in a new bottle. But then, so we need to understand each and every developments in Ayurveda in detail. And then we can easily compare it with the medical science existing, and we will find that this practices are really very old and very sound in exceptions. Now, if we study the last week reports, United States and India has been jointly conducting even clinical trials for the Ayurvedic formulations against COVID-19. And this Guduchi Giloy is one of the ingredients, basic ingredients on which they are working on, including the ashwagandha also. So, if by chance, if US comes out with a successful Ayurvedic product, we all will be very happy in accepting the same and using it in our houses. But if the same counterpart is coming in from Indian platform, then we have a couple of doubts in our minds and we don't accept it that easily. It's because it's in our DNA that we are very much accustomed, or we are very much happy with the products coming in from the developed world. But in fact, nowadays, if we see, like most of the products are manufactured in underdeveloped countries like Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, like that. So we are just not trying to accept that India has developed a lot, and we can do wonders if we focus more on our homegrown technologies. Now, if we consider allopathy, when there is a foreign particle attack, that's when there is an antigen attack. What allopathy will do is it will try to suppress it. It will try to kill it. It will be an immediate response. That will be a destructive approach. Okay. But just like in a war, when there is an attack, when there is a destructive counter attack, the losses are on both the sides. On the similar lines, you will find there are lots and lots of side effects with the allopathic medical consumptions. And in most of the cases, we don't even know that what are the side effects. Only after several years after consuming that product, one realizes that, okay, because of this reason, I have been having such side effects. And that never comes into the open market and that's never shared among the public, knowing what are the limitations of what we have been using since so many years. But in case of Ayurveda, the philosophy is very simple. It's just a defender. It's just shielded. Okay, so it will not cause any destruction within our own cells. It will not cause any destruction in our body. So that's why it's very safe also. Now, as we all know, that viral infection of COVID-19 is causing deaths. No doubt, the deaths are high in a couple of developed countries, but you will not find that much of deaths in India. The reason because the Indian population is highly vaccinated. Like we have BCG vaccination, anti-malarial vaccinations, diphtheria vaccinations. So Indian population is very robust. Okay, and that's the reason one of the research reports 2 days back from US indicated that BCG vaccination has turned out to be a game changer for the Indian public. Because if we see the level of infection, the level of spread out of COVID, which though the number of testing done is not that high, is very high, but the number of deaths is very, very low. So pro rata basis, if we compare the death ratio as compared to the infection spread, then India is a much far better off than any of the developed world counts. But one needs to understand that all these viral infections have a lifespan. Say, for example, 9 months, 10 months, and that viral infection is gone. And it's not that for the first time. Like we earlier also had viral infections. That is like, say, SARS. SARS again was from China. Then there was Ebola. Ebola was from West Africa. Then there was MERS from the Middle East. Zika was there from Brazil. Bird flu was there again from China. And again, we have another gift from China, that is COVID-19 flu. So all of these viral infections came and then have gone because of the strong immune response, not because of any other medications. So say for example, we were jointly developing with one American multinational, one rapid test for Ebola. And by the time the rapid test was developed, say like it took around 3-4 months for the test to be ready for the validations and launch, and then Ebola was over. So all these viral infections has a timeline. They do come up, they do create some havoc, they do create some destruction, but then gradually it vanishes, it goes away. Unless if we believe in the conspiracy theories of this COVID-19 infection, which says that it's a lab-grown virus having a genetically modified structure, then scenario could be a little bit prolonged, but it cannot prevail forever. Now, as we understand, COVID-19 is an RNA virus with exactly more than 80% identical genetic sequencing of SARS. So we already had SARS, and right now we have COVID-19, and which have almost similar genetical structuring, sequencing, and it's more of a type of a cold influenza virus. But though we do have a vaccine for influenza, we don't have vaccine for even SARS. SARS is already gone, but still we don't have a vaccine for SARS too. So because the reason is that we don't have any neutralizing antibodies to directly inactivate these viruses, which is yet to be known. So as the virus mutates, when infection spreads, the virus mutates, it creates its own subtypes. The genetical structure gets different. It keeps on changing. And so even if a vaccine is developed, that will not be effective to counter those change sequential structurings. So immunity booster is the only way out at this juncture. Now, even if we say that there are no symptoms are found in the infected person, the WHO had made a complete U-turn 2 days back, that the asymptomatic patients are not spreading any threat for the further spread, which again needs to be validated through testing protocols. But then if asymptomatic patients are existing in good numbers, that means that the population has started accepting that load and started responding back to that load. So we are better off in countering this impact. And one of the major reasons is that will reduce the number of deaths in India. Even recent findings have shown that type O blood is more likely to catch the novel coronavirus. Is less likely to catch the novel coronavirus as compared to its type A counterpart. So every day we have some new studies, every day we have new findings, every day there is a new story coming up. And to exactly understand the dynamics, to exactly understand the scenario, to exactly come up with the right medication is really a big challenge, and it will take its own good time. And unless that comes up, we don't have a choice rather than to build up our own immunity. And that is the best way to counter the threat. Now, even if we take an example of, say, mosquito repellents or mosquito spray, we use mosquito sprays in our houses. If we see the pattern, consumption pattern, say after 3-4 months of the use of the same brand, we will observe that mosquitoes don't die after a couple of months of uses of the same brand. The reason being that mosquitoes themselves have developed that level of immune response to fight back, and they survive. Even if we interact with the companies who manufacture these pesticides, they clearly say that they have to change their formulations every quarterly or every 6 months. At periodical intervals, they have to change their formulations so that the insects doesn't create that much of immunity level to survive. So if an insect, if a small particle-like insect can survive and create an immune response, we humans can definitely do that. And we can definitely survive any of these outbreaks. It's not a big deal. And if we have a regular and a systematic practice way of lifestyle, then definitely we can counter any of these threats. Let's understand first the antigen antibody concept. So when there is an external threat, when there is an external foreign particle entering into a body, that is an antigen, the body creates its own the pool of cynics, a pool of warriors to fight it back, and that is called as antibodies. Now, you will be surprised to learn that a word antibody is a 100 years old word that was coined in 1901 or something. And if you see that antibody concept, it prevails in Ayurveda since 5,000 years back. So that is the level of in-depthness of medical science in Ayurveda. In Ayurveda, the antibody is called Vyadik. So if that word exists 5,000 years back, then why we need to question it? There is no reason for questioning it. Okay. So when there is an antigen attack, the body creates its antibody response. If you are a healthy body, if you don't have any other disease profiles, any other problems, that attack is focused on simple first attacker, and you can easily counter it. But if your body is not healthy, and if you are facing multiple disease profile issues, then that response will be shared among all these profiles. And that's why the antibody response to each of these profiles will be shared and will be limited. And that's why its effectivity will be less. And that is the main reason where a person is prone to death. So strong immunity is the basic fundamental requirement for aggressive response to any of the antigen attack. Now, even if we talk of immunity has been very well explained in Ayurveda under multiple domains. Like there is a concept of Bala. So Bala is the ability of the system to repair and nourish itself. It's a self-repairing system to counter any of the attacks. Then the second one is the Vyadi Shnamatva. Now, Vyadi Shnamatva is the concept of resistance, means it fights back. It's the ability of the immune system to fight back. And that is what we are calling it as an antibody response. So that word is existing in Ayurveda since thousands and thousands of years back, 2 millennia back. The third concept of immunity we have is Ojas. Ojas is like the nutrient extracts, whatever we consume, whatever food is consumed, the nutrient extracts of that properly digested food is called as Ojas. So the current situation is that if we don't have the medication or a tool or a weapon to fight back COVID, the basic simple principle works is that if you don't have a potent weapon to fight back with your enemy, then at least you should have an effective shield to protect your own self. So that's the only way out, and immunity build-up through Ayurvedic means is the best bet to embark upon. For this COVID infection, to be very specific, I had coined some 4 words earlier. That is, I call it as HIPS, HIPS. So one is the hygiene. So maintaining proper hygiene is the very fundamental requirement. Try to have a very clean environment in which where you are working, where you are staying, everything has to be very clean. Second thing is your immunity build-up, which we are discussing right now at this juncture. Third thing is deploying all the protective gears, so that like face mask and if PPE kit is required at all, otherwise it's not required, and protecting your own self from the particles in the environment. And the fourth one, S, stands for the social distancing, keeping distance from each other. so that the impact of the minute particles in the environment doesn't comes into your body. Again, if you're talking of immunity build-up, home cooked food is very, very important. As we must have seen, the earlier diet plan what we had, say 25 years or 30 years back, was completely purely Indian. We hardly had any of the international cuisine in our diet, whether it's like pizza, pastas, or burgers, or whatever. You name any of the Western cuisine, and you will really wonder what would be the health nutrient concept therein, exception of the high fats, saturated fats. So, basic home cooked Bharatiya food is very, very important. And again, having consuming that food in a gap of say 4 to 5 hours is very essential. Don't keep the stomach empty, because empty stomach again creates the vital enough room for the disease to enter into. Then we need to maintain the daily regimes, that what we call as a dincharya, the normal practices, and ritucharya, that is seasonal practices. So we need to tune our body accordingly as per the daily regimes and as per the seasonal regimes, so that we are completely in harmony with the existing and surrounding environment, or what we call it as a nature. Now, if we see the latest observations from CDC Atlanta, we have seen that COVID virus has changed a lot. Means more the earlier pattern was more deadly, and the recent pattern is more spready. So now the spread is more, but the lethalness, the death is little bit less as compared to the earlier impact. So that's one of the another reason where immunity will be a vital role playing key factor in protecting our own self. Of course, government has been coming up with several indigenous Ayush measures to take care of the immunity build-up. And in fact, Ministry of Ayush has been doing a wonderful job since last 6 months on this aspect. They have also recommended some basic care guidelines, which one can easily find it on the website itself, where we don't need to even remember anything. They have very clearly maintained a diet chart and what needs to be consumed, what could be the general measures to take precautions for. All these things are very very well explained by Ministry of Ayush on their website itself. If we talk of general measures, consuming warm water is where it's very important, because say for example, earlier we used to do business with China. Like we were the only one in the IVD industry exporting our products to China, and that too for almost 12 years we exported there. Now when we visit China, the first thing what they offer is a hot cup of water with some herbs. Then that's the Chinese tea, what they call, but actually it's a hot water. So the hot water will create enough immune response and will shield any of the external particles coming inside your respiratory tract. So hot water is very much accepted and very much used worldwide. So definitely we too can consume that same hot water. It's not really hot water, but rather we can consume a warm water, which is very important. Then the other one is what we can do is we can practice yogasana. Yogasana is nothing but physiotherapy. It is a medical science of physiotherapy. And if we very well accept physiotherapy, and whatever doctor says we very happily do under the physiotherapy exercise protocols, there should not be any questions for yogasana, which is far more better science than a physiotherapy counterpart. So practicing yogasana is very important. Especially pranayama is well suggested for at least at this juncture. And what is the role of this pranayama is that we must have seen that our lungs are not used more than 50% of its capacity. It is completely underutilized. The reason being that our lifestyles are very fixed, simple, no movement, sitting in the house. In the morning, just wake up, go to the office. In the evening, come back from office, take your meal and go to bed. So hardly there is really any workout. So we need to have some sort of a booster, some sort of a push to our immune system, so that it works well. Just like in the COVID lockdowns, we must have seen that every week we used to go into a parking garage and start our vehicles just to ensure that the vehicle is running fine. In the same way, we need to have a little bit of push to our own body also, so that it functions well. One of the apart from this pranayama, which is like inhaling and inhaling out at regular intervals of the air, we can also have a practice of blowing the balloons. Balloons with a thicker wall, thicker rubber wall, can have a good back impact also on the lungs. So expanding your lungs at its fullest capacity, it cannot be 100%, but at least you can go from 50% to 70%, 80%. That will improve upon your lung muscles, and it will improve upon your reflexes to counter this. Anyway, the third one, what we can do is that we normally consume a lot of Indian spices in our meals. Of course, that practice is day by day going off because of this impact of the Western diet practices. But we should at least consume all the Indian spices, especially this turmeric, that is haldi and jeera, that's cumin, dhania, that's coriander, ginger, lasoon, that is garlic. This all needs to be used in good amount in cooking, at least when this viral infection is prevailing, at least at this juncture. Later on, definitely we should continue with it, but that's all on our choice, where we want to move on. Then there are also immunity promoting measures where you can take some chawanprash, say for example 1 teaspoon of chawanprash in the morning, or maybe one in the morning and one in the evening. That would be very effective. Then one can consume herbal tea or kadha, that is a decoction that is made of this holy basil, tulsi, dalchini, cinnamon, kali mirch, black pepper, shunt, and raisins once or twice in a day. We can add not sugar but jaggery, or we can add some lemon or honey to add to the taste. And of course, consuming haldi milk, that is a turmeric milk, golden milk, what I call, twice a day is very, very effective. It really helps. Even while if we are having a normal dry cough or a sore throat, we can have a steam inhalation with fresh pudina, mint leaves or ajwain, can be practiced in a day for say 5-7 minutes. Then we can even consume lavang, or what it calls a laving or clove powder mixed with honey. That can be taken 2-3 times a day. It is very good for taking care of the dry cough or sore throat. And of course, we can explore several other Ayurvedic means by consulting an Ayurvedic practicing Ayurvedic consultant, rather than we doing it on our own experiments. It's better to, when we want to go into much more detail, much more in depth, it's better to consult an Ayurvedic practitioner to get a perfect diet chart or a perfect protocol that what needs to be managed, because each and every body has its own way of responding back, its own way of system of balance, and that Ayurvedic practitioner will understand all those key points, and then he will guide you to take care and how to consume all these items. Of course, Ayurveda is not just consuming all this small medicines and all. Ayurveda is a complete medical science. We'll talk later on how medical science words and terminologies are derived, basically, which existed in Ayurveda thousands and thousands of years back. Let's understand. I will be more emphasizing on the importance of the Ayurvedic products and its consumption and Ayurveda itself, because the level of acceptance is required, so that more and more people consume Ayurvedic products, more and more people come up with Ayurvedic products, so that more companies can produce such products, more research and development can be undertaken, and more better validated, more professionally organized setup can be developed, and more better products can come up in the market with really good performances. If we go to Bangkok's the Suvarna Bhumi airport, you will find that there is a big statue of Samudra Manthan. So that surprisingly, when I saw it for the first time, I was really surprised. Even nobody knew that it is a Samudra Manthan scenario, but at the first glimpse, I could recognize it, that it's Samudra Manthan scenario depicting over there. And we don't find such statues in India, but that's a different story altogether. So if we see that Samudra Manthan scene, it is like Deva and Asura churning the sea, the ocean, and to get the Amrit. And from that, Dhanvantri, that is the god of Ayurveda, coming out with a pot of Amrit. Of course, there is a side story too of this episode where Mahesha, that is Lord Shiva, was looking at the entire scene, and people were very much worried that what would be the outcome of the wish that will be byproduct of this manthan. And being an aggressive identity, Lord Shiva just drank that wish and became blue, and that's why he's called Nilkant. And as usual, the wife is always there to correct their husband. So Parvati ji saw that, oh my, what is all this? So she wrapped the snake on his neck, and that's why we see the snake around the Lord Shiva statues. Anyway, so Dhanvantri is coming back to the episode. So Dhanvantri is the Lord, is the what we call as an avatar of Lord Mahavishnu, and he is mentioned in Puranas as the god of Ayurveda. So if we are talking of Ayurveda, then we should definitely talk of Dhanvantri, because he is the one who is considered to be who has prescribed the Ayurvedic prescriptions. And that's the reason we have this Dhanvantri Trayodasi, which normally we perceive it as Dhanteras, which is not actually worshipping of the Dhan or the money, but it is Dhanvantri Trayodasi. That means we worship the health, and that's why it's called health is wealth. Anyway, so that was just the classical episode which I would like to highlight, whereby this Ayurvedic concepts are such old, that it is so old where we don't need to question them. There is no question of doubting those practices. Now, as I said, we'll be discussing on the medical science. So let's now discuss the counterparts of medical science which are taken from Ayurvedic. So, say for example, we have a general practitioner of general medicine. So in Ayurveda, there is Kaya Chikitsa. Then there is a pediatrics that takes care of the prenatal and postnatal care of the babies. So there is Kaumara Bhatya in Ayurveda. Then there are surgical techniques, operations, extraction of foreign objects. So that's Salya Tantra. Then there is an ENT specialist that takes care of the eyes, nose, mouth. So that's Shalakya Tantra. Then there is another field of medical science taking care of the psychology and spirituals, that is Bhutavedya in Ayurveda. Then every pharma product has to go through a toxicology testing. So toxicology practices are defined in Ayurveda as Agara Tantra. Then there is sexual and infertility problems which is taken care by medical science, and in Ayurveda it is called Vajikarana Tantra. Then as I discussed earlier, there's physiotherapy. So we have a Yogasana. And then there is a rejuvenation, that is how you increase your immunity built up, how you increase your intellectual levels, how you increase your immunity, how you increase your strength. And that is Rasayana Tantra, which is the core area of Ayurveda at this juncture to be focused upon while countering this COVID-19 infection. Even if we talk of diagnostics, like I am being from the diagnostic industry since last almost 25 years, even the diagnostic techniques which are used are derived from Ayurvedic counterparts. Even I would say that there are more diagnostic techniques in Ayurveda than in the medical science as of now. Like we check it through pulse, that is what we call as a nadi in Ayurveda. Then when you go to a lab, they will ask for your urine sample, so that is a mutra sample, what we call in Ayurveda. Rasa is there, that is a plasma, serum and plasma testings that are done in the laboratory, that is through rasa, that is in Ayurveda. Even the blood samples, what you give to the laboratory for testing, that's rakta, that's also again defined in Ayurveda. And stool samples, what you give to the lab, that is mala. And then there is right now what is more practice for the PCR testings, being a molecular biology technology for PCR. It is used for the nasal and oral swabs, and that is there in Jiva in Ayurveda. So each and every practice that prevails in medical science today were found thousands and thousands of years back in Ayurveda. So we can't challenge that, we can't even question those practices because it existed in our Vedic systems. Even I would say there are further more diagnostic techniques in Ayurveda which is not found in medical science, which includes that is Shabda, speech therapies, then sparsha, that is touch therapies, then vision therapies, and then appearances therapies, and all those things. So it's a plant-based treatments derived from roots, leaves, fruits, barks, everything, seeds, and some couple of important minerals available in the environment. It's a purely a healthy way of living without any side effects. No doubt there are good brands that have developed themselves in Indian market. If we go to some of the international European airports, we do find Himalaya counters. There is Dabur, which is an established brand since years. I've been using a couple of the Vico products since a couple of years. Vico is a good brand. Patanjali is there. Baidyanath is there. Lotus is there in the cosmetic segment. There are a couple of local players also, say from Surat itself, there is one company called Shajan Life Science producing Suayu brand. So there are a lot of Ayurvedic products into the market. Some are having a good reputation, good branding, good brand value. And we Indians need to promote, India needs to consume those products more and more so that these Ayurvedic companies have a moral boost to come up with better and new products to counter the modern day medical science, which have lots and lots of inbuilt side effects and after effects. Now, if we talk of immunity, immunity has been very well explained in Ayurveda because whatever we eat, it gets transformed into two parts. The one is the ama, that is a toxic outcome of the improperly digested food. So if we consume, say, the junk food or the food which is nowadays have become a common practice everywhere due to shortage of time, due to shortage of availability of the contents where we want to cook it. So the junk food will definitely have more of the ama, which is a toxic outcome of the improperly digested food. And the second portion is the ojas. So whatever food we eat has transformed into two parts, ama and ojas. Ojas is the nutrient extract of the properly good digested food. So what ama does is ama blocks the subtle channels, it disturbs the digestive system, it disturbs the localized balances. Every system has a balance structure in every individual that gets disturbed. And if the level of ama is more than ojas, definitely the person is going to fall ill. But if the ratio is opposite, if ojas is more than ama, then definitely it can it can sustain, and it can counter any of the external threats by providing proper immunity to the body. So maintaining the right balance is the key while practicing the Ayurvedic principles. For example, if we talk of, say, a fingerprint, then every individual has his own human fingerprint, which is different from any other person available on this earth. On the same lines, every human body has its own systematic fingerprint, and an Ayurvedic consultant or an Ayurvedic doctor will definitely try to understand each and every minutest point of those fingerprints, and then prescribe you what could be the next course of action in boosting up your immunity, or what you should consume, or what your body can accept it as a proper immune booster. So in Ayurveda, the principle is simple: health is order and disease is disorder. So one needs to maintain the balance so that diseases doesn't creep into anyone's body. Even if we understand the immunity part, if we understand the energy part, Ayurveda has identified, or they have defined energy into three principal types. So the first one is called as Vata, the second one is called as Pitta, and the third one is called as Kapha. And maintaining the balance, the right balance, the right synchronization between these through the three energies is very, very crucial for building up the immunity. The Vata portion of the energy, it takes care of the breathing, blinking, all the muscular and tissue movements, pulsation of the heart, lungs expansion. So all the body movements, internal body movements, are controlled by this Vata energy, and this is very, very important to take control of during this COVID epidemic. The second portion of the energy is the Pitta, that is energy of digestion and metabolism. It is made up of fire and water, which governs your digestion processes, absorptions, assimilations, of course, your body temperature, and takes care of your entire body metabolism. And the third one is the Kapha. Kapha is the lubricant. Whatever bone joints, whatever knee joints, everything what we have, it acts as a glue, providing a good support, a good cushioning support for easy movement of your entire body. So, maintaining the right balance between these three very crucial parameters, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, is very, very important. And if that is very well synchronized, definitely your immunity has to perform in a very best way. If we are talking of Western allopathic medicine, they focus exclusively on the symptomatology. That is, they focus exclusively on the disease, and they focus on their drugs and surgeries to just eliminate it. Whereas, so what happens is when these drugs or when these medications are used, they have a toxic effect. They increase the ama portion of your body, and that's why if we need to take care of the ama portion, and if we don't want to increase that ama portion, and if you want to create more of the ojas portion, then definitely Ayurvedic way of medical science is more better to embark upon. Up till now, we have used Ayurveda only as a complementary way of medical science, which is not the scenario. Because if again we recollect the episode of subconsciousness of Lord Rama, if a person or if a entity of such a high stature, if a lord can be revived with a Sanjeevani booty, that means it can take care of the contingencies also. So an in-depth analysis, an in-depth study, an in-depth research and development is required in taking this Ayurvedic principles, Ayurvedic studies to the next level, to the ultimate level, where it can easily exactly replicate the medical science that prevails across the world at this juncture. Because Ayurveda addresses all the aspects of life, including your body, mind, and spirit. So every aspect of your body is covered under Ayurvedic science. So we don't need to go for any other medical science if we have a thorough knowledge, if we have thorough proven practices of Ayurvedic medical science. In our body, WC are like what we call it as the best or supreme warriors, as an immune army. And there are different kinds of WBC that fights and that works for us. That includes the B cells, T cells, helper T cells, killer T cells, memory cells, and these are the cells which fight back to the antigens, and they create an immune response. But as the age comes, immune system stops functioning to its maximum potential. So why we have seen a lot of deaths in the older age, and why the government is saying that be precautious, the senior citizens needs to be more precautious, is because the immune system, the immune response of a senior person will be a little bit more less than the healthy younger generation. But if a senior person is practicing a systematic way of lifestyle with a proper dincharya and rutucharya, and doing all the taking all the precautions prescribed in the Ayurvedic medicines, then definitely they can counter this infection. There is no doubt on that aspect. But as I said, as the age progresses, our immune system stops functioning to its maximum potential, and it becomes a little bit more slow to respond to the pathogens. Even the number of immune cells produced by the body may reduce, prolonging the healing time. So the healing time itself will become a little bit less, a little bit more rather. It will take more time to heal when one ages more. And as the system ability to even detect the cells, the defective cells, gets declined. Sometimes even some adverse impact may occur that may cause autoimmune disorder. Means the immune system mistakenly attacks or destroys the healthy good cells and the tissues of your own body. Just like in the recent retaliation from our Indian Air Force, shooting down our own helicopter. So it's like it's when there is an age, this autoimmune disorder also occurs, and the immune system mistakenly attacks it and destroys its own healthy good cells and tissues, which again counters and which again generates more threat to the senior citizens. So as the immunity declines, they become more prone to infections and diseases, and that's why older generation senior citizens need to be more precautious. They need to take more care about their immunity. Now, if we see that if you're talking of immune boosters, definitely immune boosters are immensely beneficial for seniors because they help strengthen the body from within. But what happens is the diet what we take doesn't cover everything. Even if we consume the perfect Indian meal in the entire due course of the day, as we must have seen, so we have our likes and unlikes. We don't like something, we do like something. So everything is not covered. So under such circumstances, the Ayurvedic dietary supplements fills up the gaps which is created by this. Otherwise, if the Indian meals are taken in the right proportion, in the right way, and these basic general principles are followed, which are directly prescribed by Ayush Ministry on their website, definitely one can have a very good immune response. But as a complement to that, if we have some of our own likes and dislikes, and if we are missing some of the portions of the nutrients from the meal, definitely these supplements can take care of that. And there are a couple of immunity boosters tablets available in the market. We can take that. There are some general wellness immunity booster capsules that increases one's appetite. One can eat more. One can have. It avoids fatigue when it's like it reduces the weaknesses. It replenishes the vitamins and minerals. Even it can gain body weight. So such type of tablets are also there. And of course, the holy basil, the tulsi drops. They are the natural immune boosters that are also available in the market with a couple of extracts, tulsi extracts, what they claim, preventing more than 200 diseases. And of course, it reduces the sugar levels. It acts as a very good immune boosters, cleansing the impurities from the blood. It also maintains the cholesterol levels. And of course, it keeps your stomach healthy. Tulsi plant has been there since ages, and only thing is that there is a vacuum at this juncture where we are not using, or where every house is not having a tulsi plant deployed, but every house must have a tulsi plant. And performing an arghya or a sun worship every day in the morning is very, very important for your health. It is a part of the Ayurvedic prescription. It is not a part of a religious practice. It is a medical science which we need to practice, and there are definitely hundreds and hundreds of benefits out of it. We need to understand, we need to make a lot of research on this to understand this, but then we can't avoid it. It is really very, very important to practice such a religious practice, what we call it, but it is a scientific practice. Then, of course, there are amla tablets. Amla is like that is what you call the Indian gooseberry. They are yummy thing if you like the taste, with a different taste all the time. Every time you eat an amla, it has a different taste. and it is like a sweet, sour, or bitter, whatever. But it definitely improves your digestive system. It even relieves from constipation. It can even control your cholesterol levels. Blood pressure too can be normalized through amla. So it is very effective for consuming amla in your day-to-day consumption. And if you don't consume it, then at least amla supplements like a tablet can also be taken. Also, it's very helps in health. It's a healthy functioning of the liver. Then the Brahmastra, what we have is the Guruji Giloy. Guruji Giloy is a very powerful substance. Even the research work which has been jointly undergoing with the US and the Indian counterparts on the Ayurvedic front for countering the this COVID-19 epidemic is on based on this components of Guruji and Giloy. Some of the clinical trials done so far have found that this Giloy leaves can help deal with some of the symptoms associated with COVID-19. So at this juncture, what US has been doing that using chloroquine as a counter to take care of COVID-19, though it's a medicine for malaria, not for this, but then it has been working, it has been giving some results, so they are exploring it further. On the same lines, Guruji Giloy too, they have been deploying to counter COVID-19 epidemic. Of course, Kada, in every old Indian Hindi movies, we have seen Kada as the main thing. And if the current generation doesn't know what is how to prepare a kada, then at least it's all on a website, or there is a kada tablet also available in the market. One can easily get those tablets and use it. Ideally, old people use kada tablets, and it can definitely take care of your runny nose, itchy throat, body aches, weakness, many things. Chamanprash has been there. We have seen earlier there were some couple of ads too shown on the television for the Chamanprash. It's a blend of several tastes comprising sweet, sour, bitter, pungent, astringent, whatever. If you put a spoon of Chamanprash in your mouth, you don't like it, but then it's very healthy. Mainly it consists of different types of herbs and amla, sesame oil, ghee, and honey. It's a very healthy immune booster. Of course, nutritious Ayurvedic tonic for the immune booster systems can also provide better stamina and more energy. It can counter the fatigue which comes up very occasional after when you consume this junk food. So these supplementary diets can also help you improve the immune response of your body mechanism. Then there is also ashwagandha capsules which are available in the market. It is commonly known as Indian ginseng, and it provides it's very useful in providing stamina to your body. It is proven that it increases the good number of production of the white blood cells, and that is very important for encountering the viral threat. So this ashwagandha template has been very vital in encountering this COVID spread. Apart from the Ayurvedic practices, of course, an Ayurvedic consultant or doctor will definitely be there to guide everyone. We need to have a very healthy way of lifestyle also. Like we need to exercise regularly. We need to work out every day. We need to sleep adequately. Like today's lifestyle, people sleep for 4-5 hours, and then all the day, entire day, they are like with a headache or means you are not practicing a healthy lifestyle. So we need to have adequate sleep. Need to drink more water every 1 hour, at least half a glass of water, 1 glass of water is advisable. Limited stress is also very good. Avoid obesity means if you are having a big tummy, that again is creating more room for the ama. Avoid excessive antibiotic use. If it's not required, don't use it. People blindly use antibiotics too. Even if something has happened, take a blindly any antibiotic just to ensure that okay, it will take care of inside. But then these antibiotics have lots and lots of side effects. Avoid using any of the antibiotics if it is very essentially required. Only consume it after it is prescribed by your doctor, but don't use the antibiotics that easily. Quit smoking. Smoking is not at all advisable. Limited consumption of alcohol is better rather than drinking it in over limits. So in Ayurveda, disease is identified in two ways. One is the external, and the one is the internal. So if there is an imbalance origin within the body, what we call it as nija, then the body responds back in a different way. And if there is an external threat coming in, what we call it as an agantu, then there is a different way of responding back. But everything is based on a right balanced approach, a right systematic balanced approach within your own body to counter the external threats of these diseases. Even if we see the understanding of the microbes, which we see in medical science, say a couple of 100 years back, these were there in the Ayurvedic texts in the since centuries. Say 5,000 years back, when they had the sanitation facilities, governing bodies taking care of this jana pada dvamsa. So all these practices are there since generations, since centuries. We just need to revive them. We just need to understand them. We just need to practice them, and then we can compare it with, okay, how effective it is. But then we need to step in. We need to come into the waters. We need to step into the waters to feel the depth of this science, medical science, Ayurvedic science, and we definitely need to accept Ayurvedic medical science as a very important tool to have a right immune response, because Ayurveda believes in creating a shield rather than making an attack. As our Bharatiya DNA says, we are not an aggressor. We believe in a simple philosophy: live and let others live. So Ayurveda is also in the same philosophy. Ayurveda doesn't attack on anything. It doesn't spoil your health. It doesn't have any side effects. It doesn't have any after effects. It will only ensure that the body is there, healthy, and can counter any of the the viral attack or any of the external attack coming into your body. Even there is a Nipper scientist who has been developed some last week or 10 days back. He has come up with some Rasayana methodology of Charak and Khushroo Sanhita in Ayurveda. That is a combination of some herbs to take care of the immune response. And if we talk of the kada, then it's very simple to prepare. Like half cup of sliced raw turmeric is required, 5 spoon of sliced ginger, and 4 cups of water. That needs to be boiled up on a mild flame. And once it turns yellow, say it will take around like 15-20 minutes and turns yellow, then we need to just add some 5-6 tulsi leaves therein, 2 cardamom, 1 spoon of cloves, and 1 spoon of black peppercorn, 1 stick of cinnamon, and 1 spoon of grapes or raisins or munaka, whatever we call. And we can add honey or jaggery or even a lime to have some taste of it. So we need to have our own systematized way of living lifestyle, and Ayurveda can definitely take care of if it is practiced in the right way. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed the session. My emphasis was more on how to change the mindset of the Bharatiya crowd and make them aware that Ayurvedic practices is a pure medical science. Though it is mentioned in the Veda, but Veda is not a religious text. It's a scientific text, which is redefined as science is a religion. So everything has to go in balance. And if we have a more organized way of developing Ayurvedic practices in India, definitely we can perform far better than the rest of the world. Thank you very much. I am now open for any of the questions. If people have some questions, I would be glad to answer those questions.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for your detailed overview of Ayurveda and homemade medical formula. It's been very, very insightful. I have a few questions. There are in few states, Ayush doctors are asked to remove the prefix doctor. How do you see in the current times where Ayurveda is one more important thing? How do you see it will affect the study pattern of the students who are choosing to do the Ayurveda thing?
See, now, first we need to understand the putting of the word doctor. Okay. If in India, even a person doing a PhD in mathematics is given a degree of a doctor. If a person is doing a PhD in a law, he's given degree of a doctor. So doctor prefix is applied in so many arenas. It's not just in Ayurveda. Okay. So if somebody is challenging that no, you cannot put doctor in front of an Ayurveda, then of course our current government very well understands the importance of Ayurveda. They have come up very aggressively in Ayush way. Even they launched the Dhanvantri Rath that takes care of the COVID patients. So they are in tune, they are in line with the thought processes, and I'm sure nobody can ask them to remove the doctor word from the one who are practicing Ayurveda, because Ayurveda is a medical science, it is a pure medical science that exists before the actual medical science that prevails today, which is just a couple of 100 years old. So you are not supposed, or nobody is supposed to tell them that they are not a doctor. They are more better, more qualified doctor, but they need to study. They need to go into more depth and make this Ayurvedic science more detailed, more organized, more professionally proclaimed, so that there is a wide acceptability into the mass crowd. That is more important.
Right,
Nobody
right,
is
right.
allowed to remove that doctor prefix from the name.
Okay, okay. One more question I would take
Please.
from Mr. Abhinav Thakur, who is a fellow speaker also. He is saying that Starbucks is selling our haldi doodh as turmeric latte, the golden milk, for $12 or around 500 or 800 rupees per cup as the held drink in US and Australia. How do you see why there is a surprise that no Indian company came up with this before the American coffee chain came up with it?
It's a very nice question, and it is very obvious question. As I said earlier also, if something is coming up from a Western world, it's very well accepted. Even all the Indians will be going to the Starbucks to have that haldi milk, but they will not make that haldi milk in their own home if it is brought in India. So what I'm trying to say is that it's our own mindset. Even if the neem ka datun, what we used to see on Amazon US, sold at a couple of dollars, $10 for one pack of neem ka datun, which is sold in say 1 rupee per datun in India,
Hmm.
people don't use it. So it's always a gar ki murgi dal barabar, and that's what I'm saying, that the current government, the initiative by the current government, up till now, say like it's like 6 years, the government has been doing work in India, the current government, and I have not found a single instance of any negative impact of any of the actions what they have taken up till now, and they are very much in tune with what they are doing right now with the Ayush also. They will definitely promote Ayush to the maximum extent, and definitely Ayurveda will come up as a top charter in the coming years to come. And no doubt, no wonder, US companies will be patenting all our Ayurvedic products and will be just looking at it. So that's why I said that we need to come up with a more organized way. We need to come up with a more better regulatory framework, and we need to patent all these techniques, all these technologies, which have been used since hundreds and hundreds and thousands of years. That's very much required at this juncture. Regulatory framework, strong regulatory framework, and more organized professional approach is very much required at this juncture.
Right, right, right. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for your time.
It's
It's
all
been
the
a very good
best.
session.
Namaskar. Thank you. Bye bye.
Namaskar. See you. Thanks a lot. So this was the session on building immunity and the Ayurveda thing in this current times, where it is very important to be immune. So it was a great session on this. I just like to thank our gold sponsor Godrej for their participation in this particular exhibition on medical technology and equipments. Further, we'll have a session starting in next 3-4 minutes. The other session on the other side. See you soon.